up? I got Naskin here with me. This ain't a diss song, but yeah, you know what it is. I'm a cheesehead, y'all niggas cheese whiz. Pittsburgh Steelers, that's nothing. That Super Bowl ring, that's nothing. Pull up in your town when you...
Obviously, we've talked a lot about tackling going back to May and June. How do you take a step between now and the next couple of weeks here?
Yeah, I mean, we keep drilling it, and you got to walk that fine line. I know every team has their philosophy, but knowing a lot of coaches around the league, most teams don't do live work in the body of practice. And it's something that you got to try to simulate as best you can. And there's no substitute for those live reps. And a lot of our misses are with our young guys, and I think some of it is just getting used to the speed of the game and some of the athletes they're trying to tackle, as opposed to what it was like for them in college, and just understanding that they got to take that extra step. They got to bring their feet. They got to make sure they get the technique part is right, that they're wrapping with their arms. We've missed some where we've tried to just hit guys and knock them to the ground, and we're just bouncing off. So they're figuring that out the hard way. But we're going to continue to work it. And like I said, we're not going to panic and go to live tackling drills. I mean, we understand the issues and who the culprits are, and hopefully we'll take a step forward this week.
Speaking of culprits, I've been trying to think of a good way to ask this for a couple hours. I can't quite figure out how to say it. But does it help you rest a little bit easier when a lot of these missed tackles, frankly, are from guys who might not be around here come September? I mean, does that help you at all, or is that not how a coach thinks?
No, I mean we don't look at it that way, but we do prioritize it. We want to make sure that if there's anybody that is going to be a big part, that we feel is going to be a big part, if there's a cause for concern. But I think that's with most teams. You'll see with some young guys that are, just like I said, having to get used to the speed of the game and the type of athlete that they're trying to get on the ground. So I mean, it's a concern, but that's it really stops there. It doesn't go much further than that. It's something that we're drilling. We know how to teach it, and we got to get guys a little further along with it.
How do you feel Curtis Bolton has handled some of the reps he's gotten in Oren's place there?
I think he's handled it well. I mean, he was a guy that we were very pleased to sign as an undrafted free agent. Just going back and looking at his college tape, I mean, he was very productive. So it's not a surprise to us that he's done some of the things that he's done. I mean, he was very productive at one of the country's top programs in Oklahoma. So he's done it on a big stage. And just not having the measurables, you could see why he kind of fell and didn't get drafted. But I mean, this kid's a football player. He's very instinctive. He knows how to slip blocks. He knows shouldn't be taking on guards and tackles and directly head on, and he understands it. So he's done a real nice job of being able to soak in what we're doing and then apply it on the field. So we're pleased with where he is. Obviously, we're looking forward to getting OB back, but so far in his spot, Curtis has done a nice job.
Rashan hasn't had the numbers through the first two games, but when you look at what he's done on film, have you seen some reasons for optimism there with what he's done so far?
Oh, without a doubt. We're pleased with where he is. Just kind of teaching him the outside linebacker position. We knew that he was going to be a little bit of a work in progress, because as I said before, we're teaching him all of it. So there's some things he's doing now that he won't necessarily be doing in the regular season. But as we get closer, we're going to start to hone that down and put him in positions where we know he's ready to excel. So he's had some real good rush opportunities in these games and had done a nice job on most of them. And sometimes it's just the nature of the game. If you look at Baltimore's pass game the other night, the ball was coming out quick, where there were a lot of where the quarterback was on the move. So there weren't as many extended drop back opportunities as sometimes you would typically get. But that's part of it. But just overall, we're pleased with where he is and the direction he's headed.
Hey Mike, around this time last year, we kind of realized what these were going to be like with you, and that they could be fun because you told us a story about why you're up in the box and you don't want to look like the guy flipping through the Cheesecake Factory menu. Do you remember that?
I do.
You like having your
Vaguely, I do. But
Well, now you're not in the box, and you did decide to move down. What kind of went into that thinking, and why the change?
well, part of it is when I look back to last year, having a run game coordinator in Pat Graham and Joe Witt as the pass game coordinator, just feeling better about how the sideline was being handled, and being up there. That was my history, and part of it is I'm an information guy. I like to spread out, and I feel that it is. This past year, I was able to train some of the guys that are here that are still going to be up top as far as what I'm looking for information-wise, that I can get the best of both worlds. I could still get that info without having to be up there. But I just felt the need to be a little bit more hands-on. And then another part of it too is logistics. I mean, here at Lambeau, I don't know if you know, it's not the easiest path to get to the press box. It takes some time. I mean, you got to go to an elevator, then you're up, and then you're on a golf cart, and then you're off of that, and then you walk to an elevator lobby. You're up to another elevator lobby, then you're out and you walk. So it's a process, and you have to leave early enough to get up there and get settled, and you kind of miss that time at the end, to be able to address the players and look them in the eye and go around and make any adjustments pregame, and then same thing at halftime. I mean, by the time you get down, I mean, it's halftimes, go pretty quick. You guys are up eating food in the press box. I mean, we're scrambling to go through our substitutions and who's injured and get word from the trainer and then make any schematic adjustments, what's working, what's not working, and then position coaches break out, get with their players, and then the coordinator circles through. And that was just real hard to get all that done. I found myself having to leave so early, and there's some places on the road where it's easier access and you're up and you're down, but I just didn't like kind of that lack of access to the players, and with our call sheet being simpler this year, cut down. I think we can cut down on our volume. I don't have to have access to as much stuff up top to spread out and go through. So I just felt it was a natural thing to make the move.
From that, you've had 2 games now. From the hands-on part, what have you enjoyed about being around your guys all game long, and what are you able to convey to them that you weren't able to do if you were upstairs?
Yeah, a lot of it's just the fact that it's in person. It's not relaying a message through a position coach or having a player put the headset on or go pick up the phone that nobody uses anymore. So just to be there and to make those adjustments on the spot with the coaches, be able to look at the stills together or sit down with a player and show them, make sure we're on the same page, and then I'm on the field with all the position coaches that we can, if we need to make a change, we can very quickly get together. So it's just the hands-on thing is by far the best thing, and also not having to take that horrible golf cart ride has been a plus too.
What are the biggest strides you've seen Tony Brown make since last year?
I think it's been overall not just his improvement as a football player, but just the maturity part too. I think he's come a long way. That he had the penalty against Detroit that I never let him forget about. That was a where he taunted a guy after we had a third down stop. I just think he's. Tony loves football, and that's obvious if you spend any time around him. But he's dedicated about getting better at his craft, and I think he's done a really good job of responding to the coaching from whether it's Coach Simmons, Coach Downard. He's done a real good job as far as taking the things that he needed to work on and improve it. Now he still has a ways to go, but I know he's doing a good job on special teams, and he's a guy that played some quality minutes for us last year. And if I have no problems now feeling good if Tony's in the game playing corner for us. I mean, he's a guy that's proven he can do it, and he's built that level of trust.
It seems from my memory that you guys are breaking up a lot more passes on the practice field than you did maybe at this point last year. Is that a fair assessment? And if so, why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's a combination. You know, some of it's the easy answer is that it's the players that are out there. Two, it's just year two in the system, just the communication, the understanding of how we're matching routes, you know, different coverages, and how the subtleties play versus certain combinations that we're getting. But you just look at some of the guys that we brought in. Kadar's a good example. I mean, he's a guy that's our offensive guys have a hard time getting away from. I mean, he is a press corner that you know they haven't been able to create a lot of separation. You know, Jair has taken a big stride going into year two. Tremon's been as steady as ever, and that's been an emphasis for us. Now we're also playing a little bit more man maybe than we were a year ago, which I think will kind of lead to that as well. But then the theme for us, as I talked about in here before, was just we talk about the ball, attacking the football, and that's where I think we've taken a big stride as far as, you know, attacking the football when it's in the air. You know, D linemen, if the rush is stalemated, getting a hand up. We've tipped some passes in the game so far, and in practice, and then also just at the end when you've seen us, we're doing a much better job at attacking the runners with the football, whether it's strip attempts. You know, trying to second guy in, trying to pull it out. I mean, the Raven Green forced fumble in the against Houston, I think, is a good example. We're much more ball aware when we're going to tackle guys.
Mike, what have you seen lately from Rashan Gary? You know, from the sideline in practice, he really jumped out early on, and I know he was in the game for a pretty long time on Thursday night. What is he kind of up against as he goes through the learning curve and the rookie experience in a training camp, and what have you seen from him?
Yeah, I think it's a transition to a position that he hasn't played a lot of. So I think that's difficult. He's not coming in playing something he's played for years and years, and it's just a natural thing that, you know, he's not a receiver coming in, and receiver's a receiver. So, you know, there's some things there that I think has maybe. We want to get to the point where our guys are free and clear from a thinking standpoint, because when guys can get lined up and know what to do, they play fast. But that just doesn't happen overnight. That takes repetitions. So I think that's where, you know, that's part of it where he is. But as we start to pull back and have an understanding of, okay, here's where he is now. Here's kind of his personal inventory. This is what he does well. This is what he needs work on, and we'll start to gear. As we're looking forward to the Chicago and Minnesota and those early games, you know, where can he best help us based on where he is now, and we'll start to kind of steer him and steer the scheme that direction with him. But as I mentioned earlier, we feel good about where he is.
Speaking of repetitions and playing fast, where do you think Darnell's at after missing the first week? It's hard for us to kind of watch safety sometimes if they're not making kind of that eye-popping plays. I guess just on a play-to-play basis, what are you seeing?
Sure, it was unfortunate that he missed that time and was definitely behind. There was some rust that I don't know if it's all off yet, but it was good to see him get extended the other night. I think he got 21 or 22 plays, and he flashed certainly some of the ability that that we know he's the stuff that he's capable of, but still some technique things to get cleaned up. You know, I think he tried to tackle a guy without wrapping, or a couple times where he went to go low and didn't kind of get his shoulders get across in front. So we never talk about missing tackles, but if it does happen, we want it to be on the side where it forces the runner back into the pursuit. So there's some technique things that he needs to get cleaned up, and that just comes with playing an NFL game. So there is, as I've said a bunch of times, there's just no substitute for getting those reps. Practice just doesn't simulate it. So I just think between this week and we'll make the decision on Kansas City, when we get to it as far as repetitions. We really haven't even done this week's playing yet, but hopeful that get him some more quality reps so he's up to speed and ready to go for the opener.
And Mike, I know you don't have Campbell yet, with him still going through the process with PUP, but why do you think he was such a good fit for your scheme, the times you worked with him, and what does he give you guys getting him back now?
Well, I mean, he's tough, he's smart, and we can't have enough of those guys, and he's we had him when I was in Cleveland, so I was very, very familiar with him and his skill set and the type of person that he is. He's the type of guy that can go into a game. He's a real good special teamer, but he's also the type of guy that can go into a game if he hasn't taken a lot of repetitions in practice. He's certainly capable, in my opinion, of being a starting safety. But if his role is to be a backup, that he's a guy that doesn't have to take a lot of reps. He takes the reps. That he has a good understanding of not just his position, but the positions around him. So having a guy out there, sometimes if a guy's panicking a little bit, they know they can look to a guy like IC to help them with what they're supposed to do. So I just don't think you can have enough of those guys that are dependable, that's smart. They know the scheme and beyond their own responsibilities, and guys that are tough that can make plays for you.
I just love my team. Yeah, that's the team with them big G's on the helmet.